guys, Lori here yet again. I'm here today to do a non-spoiler review of Untill Friday Night by Abby Glines. This is the first book that I've read by Abby Glines. She is a big new adult romance writer, but this is her first YA novel, or one of her first. And it's the start of a new series. The series I don't think has a title, but the first book was called Untill Friday Night, and it basically follows these two characters named West and Maggie. And they, Wes is this guy who is like a big star football player, and his dad, you find this out in the first chapter, so I'm not giving anything away, has been diagnosed with cancer and is dying. And Maggie came to live with her uncle and her aunt, and she doesn't speak because she witnessed the horrible murder of her mother 2 years ago. So you have a character who's in undeniable pain and a character that doesn't talk, but they wind up making this connection, and as the book progresses, Maggie eventually speaks to him, and it kind of becomes this heavy, intense romantic relationship that was super interesting to read about, but for me, the relationship was a little bit too codependent for my liking, so it wasn't my favorite. I gave the book like 3.5 stars. I thought the world that was built was really creative, and I loved all the side characters that we met. And I really did like the character of Maggie, and I sort of liked Wes, but up until the last 50 pages of the book, I really did not like Wes. I thought that the whole relationship was a little bit too codependent for my liking, and I don't think that was necessarily a good thing. But then at the end of the book, it kind of gets redeemed a little bit. And you see kind of Maggie really stand up for herself, which I didn't expect in the book. So that was like a pleasant surprise that I was super excited about. But overall, it wasn't my favorite romance that I've ever read. And I've read a lot of romances recently. I've read Rainbow Rowell, I've read Katie McGarry, I've read Stephanie Perkins. I've read Robin Constantine, so I've read a lot of them, and this book just felt a little bit too, like, I think it was developing into, like, an unhealthy relationship, and that's not something I ever like to read about, but the end kind of redeemed it. But I really liked, the two characters kind of meeting in, like, desperate circumstances and kind of finding a connection. I just wish they weren't their only source of support. I think the thing I had the most trouble with is that the characters really only talked to each other and really only relied on each other. So there was no like outside influence, and I would have liked the book a lot better if their romance was not the focus and it was like their romance was like a bright spot, but they did do other things. I felt like that was the only time you really got when they weren't together, they were thinking about each other. As I've said previously, I'm not really a big romance reader or pure romance reader, and I felt like this literally was just a romance, which most of the time I don't really enjoy, so wasn't my favorite, but I did like her writing style, and I like the world she created, so I'll check out the next one, and I don't know the name of it, but I know it follows Brady, who is Maggie's cousin. And I liked him as a character, so maybe I'll like that better. I had a very similar problem with when I read the new series by Katie McGarry, Nowhere to Run. I gave the book like 4 stars. I liked it. It wasn't my favorite. The two characters weren't my favorite, but the next book in that series, Walk the Edge, which follows Razor, I'm super excited about because that character had a little bit more meat to him. So maybe I'll find that when I read the next book in the series. But yeah, if you like intense romances and consuming romances, you'll probably like this book. I was more drawn into the Maggie's issues with not speaking and how that wasn't really the focus of this book. It really was a romance book. But I did overall, I enjoyed it. So if you like Abby Glines, you've read a lot of her new, you probably like this. It's probably in her same vein. But I do eventually, I would love to read the Rosemary Beach series, but I know it's a really long series. I know it's highly dramatic, which I don't often like. But this I decided to give a chance, and it was good. So if you like romance, I would highly recommend it. If you need a book with a little bit more substance, like not romance being the whole plot, I maybe wouldn't choose this book because there's not a whole lot else other than the romance. But those are just my thoughts. As always, I'll also put my review below, my spoiler review. It's a little bit more spoilery. Tried to keep this as non-spoilery as possible. But I hope you guys are having a great day.